because it was a part of Freddie's life I didn't know anything about, and it gave me a lot of insight, and it made me realize how much more I had in common with him. He loved his friends. He loved throwing dinner parties. He was very silly. They would joke around and dress up, and they showed pictures of them in silly wigs, on a night out. And there were stories about him going out to bars and jokes and inside things, and chronicled different relationships he had. I learned a lot about Freddie watching that documentary. I suggest anybody that's curious about Freddie's personal life, check it out, because I found it very enlightening.
And do you think the industry has changed? The world has changed.
Oh, absolutely.
Are there still battles to be fought?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we're at a really interesting time right now, both in the U.S. and in the U.K. politically. There's a lot of division. The left and the right are like very far apart right now. Hopefully we can find our way back to center. I think a lot of the social issues are creating a lot of personal tension for people. What I'm excited about is that I think it's a case of, much like this happens all throughout history. For example, in the 60s, when the youth movement was sort of looking at their generation above them, their parents, and there was a big divide there. I think that's kind of happening again. I think the young people have a really great idea of the way the world needs to be moving, and it's very different from some of the older generation, unless the older generation maybe was one of those hippies back in the day that understood what that was. But I think we all need to listen to each other a little more. And I think that if we really want to progress and find some peace, I think using a little bit of empathy might be helpful. Everybody gets very defensive over their own point of view and their own experience, and that's important. But at the same time, maybe just take a second to put yourself in the shoes of the person who's making the request of you, or who's the disenfranchised group, or who's being discriminated against, or who's being told that they're not allowed. If you just for a second treat someone how you want to be treated, I think that's all that's needed here. Just a bit of decency, a bit of respect.